Welcome! In this video we will show you how to create a writing prompt in SchoolCity. Writing prompts are a unique item type that allows students to interact with the text and a writing prompt and then type their answers directly into SchoolCity. Teachers can then score those prompts on the computer and provide feedback through the student portal. Writing prompts are an item, so in order to create the item, we must first create the assessment. To do that, you can click on this Create Assessment button and select Item Bank Assessment. I've already started one, so I'm going to come down here and edit the one I've already started. First thing you need to do is give your assessment a unique name. I would make it something specific so that you can go back and easily find it later and know what it is that you're testing. You must choose a subject area, and then you must include how you're going to schedule it. You can schedule all students to take the assessment, or you can schedule by a particular group or course. Let's say you only want your honors courses to take it, or just your homeroom. You could select that one. We're going to have all students take the assessment. If you are in a PLC and you want to share this assessment with your PLC and share your data, here's where you would select your PLC there. From here, you go ahead and go Next. That will take you to the Filters tab. If you are going to look for a pre-made writing prompt in an item bank, you would want to use this tab. You would want to select your writing standards, say 6th grade. Select what type of writing. We're going to be doing information or explanatory text. And then you could use this to look for standards. I'm also going to go ahead and select language. Okay. Now, from here, you could go on to the Items tab and look to see at all the pre-made writing prompts. Let's do that really quickly. Takes a minute to load. Once you do, you can see that you have 288 items. Now, not all of those are writing prompts, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the Show Hide Filters. And I can see item banks, grades, and standards. I could select a standard, but I really want to see a particular item type. So I'm going to come over here, find this little gear, add item types, click Update, and then scroll until I'm looking for writing prompt. Oh, there's only one item, one passage. So not a lot of writing prompts tied to that particular grade level and that those particular standards. Okay. We're not going to use this. We're going to create our own. To do that, you find this Create button in the upper right corner. You can see when you click on that, you've got two items. You can create items or you can create passages. We're going to create an item that mimics the way AASA designs their writing prompts, in which there is a text that students must read first. So first I want to create my passage. You can create your item first and add your passages later on. However, it's much easier to start with the passage, get that done, and then create your item. All right, we're going to create the item in our workspace. The workspace is where you create all your items and passages, and they kind of live there until you publish them. We're going to give our passage a name. The passage name is what students will see as the title. So you want it to make sense. You do want to select a grade level. And then the topic adds another way of searching for your passage later on. I'm just going to make it this informational essay. And then here you can simply copy or paste, or you could upload. You can add in pictures, you can add in video, audio, and all sorts of media. I'm just going to paste my article in here. Now I'm going to click Save. If I wanted to add some properties like copyright date, things like that, I could do that. I'm going to click Save, and I'm going to go Next. On this screen, I simply review to make sure I like the way the passage looks, and then Publish and Exit. Save it my workspace. The passages will be saved in and published to your workspace until you actually attach them to your items. Okay, so at this point, now I could go ahead and create my item. I've already started working on my item. It's right here, Informational Writing Prompt 1. So I'm going to edit it by clicking on the pencil. If I hadn't started editing it, I would just go to Create and select Item. Okay. All right, when I'm going back and editing it, I do not want to create a new version. I'm just going to replace it and keep the statistics. To create your writing prompt, you first have to give it a name. This is the first informational writing prompt we're doing, so I'm keeping it simple here. You select your subject area, ELA, your grade level. You can skip course and course group. And then item type, you must select, scrolling all the way down to the bottom, writing prompt. You can see there's an O after writing prompt, which means that this is an online only. This cannot be printed on paper. I'm going to skip the next two sections, and then you'll notice I already have one passage attached here, but I'm going to add that other passage I just created, space farming. So let's find it. If I don't see it in my list right away, I can click in the search and search that way, but I see it here. And now you can see I have attached two passages. Much like AASA, students will have to read multiple articles to pull out the information they need. All right, I have the option of adding teacher instructions, but I'm putting all my instructions in the writing prompt itself, so I don't need to add that. There's only going to be one question, and the question is right here. I've pulled this directly from the ASA Annotated Writing Guide, so this is in the prompt exactly as students would see it in AASA. Now I scroll down. I have the option of adding a character limit. If I toggle that on, I can put in a maximum number of characters. However, you must remember that spaces are characters too. I don't want to limit my students, so I'm going to toggle that off. We then have the option of allowing students to either answer in text, or for younger students, or if it's a special kind of I want them to respond in drawing, I could do that as well. And then if I wanted to give a sample response, I could do that. I'm not interested in doing that today. We scroll down to the next section. This is where I'm telling SchoolCity how I'm going to be grading. So what is the rubric that I'm going to be using? I'll be using the AASA rubric, which is divided into 3 objectives. Purpose, focus, and organization is scored from 0 to 4. Evidence and elaboration, 0 to 4. Convention, 0 to 2. You have the option of adding in a multiplier if you'd like. That will weight your sections differently. I don't want to do that on this one because this rubric has already weighted them by the number of maximum points. So I'm going to leave my multipliers at 1. There's an option to include standards for your objectives. For better data, I would toggle that on. That's going to change what we do on the next screen. You then also have the option of including a rubric. I'll take that off. Let's show you what that process looks like. If I want to include a rubric, I can include one for the teacher and for the student. to access during their assessment. You can either build it yourself, upload one from a PDF, or select from rubrics that are already in SchoolCity. We've already put the AASA rubrics in there, so I'm going to select that and click Select Rubric. And I'm going to do the same for the student. I want students to have access to the rubric as well. Select the rubric. Okay. From here, if I didn't like that, I could delete, I could save. I'm simply going to save. And then click Next to go to the next screen. All right, from here, I'm adding my standards, not for my assessment, but my standards for this particular writing prompt item. Okay, I went ahead and I added all the informational text standards. I'm also going to go in and add the convention standards here of punctuation and spelling. Click Next, and that takes me now to this screen here to align my standards. Here I want to tell the computer what standards go with what objectives. So for purpose, focus, and organization, that aligns with A, C, E, and F. The evidence and elaboration rubric aligns with B and D, and then my conventions all align with language 2 and A, my spelling and capitalization, punctuation. Click Next to go to the next screen. This is my property screen. You can notice paper is grayed out because writing prompts are online only, and I have some options of things I can add. I don't need to add calculators for a writing assessment. I'm going to leave off translate selection, and we're going to add in some tools. So universal that we typically add in are color contrast, highlighter, line reader, notes, pop-ups. If you have any kind of online pop-ups that you've added, we can talk about that later. We have a special video on that on our YouTube channel. You can read all about what's called online markup. It's a way of adding some additional scaffolding for students. We haven't added any today, so I won't select that. But we will select text magnifier, underline, and zoom. Since this is not a reading assessment, it's a writing assessment, we will add text to speech so the articles can be read to students. You do also have this spell check that you might have certain students. I wouldn't turn that on for everybody, but I might want to go in and add that on as an additional accommodations for individual students later on. We have other videos on how to do that if you're interested in learning more about that. Okay, I also have some options of adding either in Bloom's taxonomy or depth of knowledge. We're going to put in a DOK3 here. Since we're writing or we're pulling from multiple sources, I'm going to go ahead and go next. And here's where I get to preview. This is what students will see as the prompt. They'll see kind of what they'll be scored on, how they're scored, what standards that aligns to. I can check out the passages here if I wanted to. If I'm happy with it, I want to go ahead and publish the item. And I'm going to publish in my workspace right now. So that is how I create a writing prompt. We will show you a separate video on how to score once you have some student responses in there. Thank you so much. Please remember to call and reach out, submit those assessment support tickets if you have any questions about how to use SchoolCity when you're creating your writing prompts.